Ray has some awesome questions. Thanks for the help today, man. He asked via YouTube my preferred overhead style, such as XY, coincident pair, spaced, ORTF. Um, you know what I actually really, really like on overheads these days is running the spaced pair. I was really afraid of it for a while because I didn't know, drum set is so complicated. There's so many different pieces at different distances, and phase becomes like a really big problem in that if you don't know what you're doing. But I really enjoy spaced pair for most things, most modern style recordings. Um, but uh, but I actually really really prefer ORTF to the XY coincident pair, just because you kind of get like a bit wider of a range, like like symbols and things on one side aren't so much crossing over and creating this wider center. You're kind of getting a more nulled center and just kind of like a left crash isn't going to sound left of center, it's going to sound more left. A right China is going to sound more right as opposed to right of center. So I usually enjoy that just a little bit more. Um, but to maximize that, like if I'm, especially if I'm doing anything with heavy guitars, it's going to come into, how much can we separate things? So that's where the space pair really comes in. So when we do a space pair on a drum overhead, uh, one of the big things to watch for is distance from the overhead to the snare drum, because anytime that snare drum hits, it's going to be the loudest thing on the entire drum kit. And if it's closer to one mic than the other, then it's going to be firing a little bit off center every time. And that's pretty annoying to deal with in a mix. So, what you got to do is with that space pair, measure things out, and or if you have a pretty minimalist kit, then you can even like measure it out to like somewhere between the kick and the snare, and you can, if you're going to be using a lot of overheads in your drum mix as like a overall map of the drum layout. um, yeah, just kind of measuring that distance, and the space pair is going to give you that extra wide. But if I need things a little bit closer to the center, the music isn't so claustrophobic. It's just a little bit smaller mix. The Aura TF is definitely my way to go. Um, yeah, and actually, only recently, I've always used condensers as my overheads, because they give you that extra bright, detailed sound of the cymbals decaying and the extra, like sweet attack on, any little floating cymbal parts, or, like that attack on your toms and, like snare and stuff like that. But recently, I got a really nice pair of mics, which are not that expensive. They're a Cascade Fathead, with Lundahl transformers, and they're a ribbon mic. Uh, and I really enjoy having that just kind of, more rolled off sound on the cymbals on smaller mixes. It just kind of comes out really sweet, and even as a spaced pair, because they're actually bidirectional, so they're going to pick up what's below them, the drum kit, and also what's above them, which is the reflection off the ceiling, which is very, very nice.